I'm Chris Shelton coming to you live from Hollywood, California with my good friend here, Hollywood physique expert Eric the Trainer, here on the set of our friend Jay Menez for his TV show, Hollywood Real. And what's really cool about that is Hollywood Real, REAL, which goes along the lines of the topic that we've been talking about this whole past month is, we're talking about healthy relationships, and just kind of a little recap of what I've done for the month of February, the month of love, is to talk about healthy relationships and healthy boundaries. And we talked about, for example, relationships, the parent-child relationship, how a lot of times those become dysfunctional, or just the family dynamic in and of itself. I've talked about, like the work environment. We talked about also about my secret bully, like when you have a friend that acts like a friend behind closed doors, but then when you're out on the street or out in public, all of a sudden is making fun of you, putting you down, belittling you, or doing things to try to take advantage. So what we've done is we've given tools for people to be able to help to recognize this and help to offset it, but also people that are what we call as bucket dippers, the people that just want to dip into your bucket. They don't give you much in return. And then what can you do to put a lid on that bucket? But as we're wrapping up for the month of February here, I thought it'd be really, really cool because you're an amazing person. And one of the things I love about you, Eric, is that Eric is, for those of you that don't know him, Eric is genuine. If Eric offers to do something for you, offers advice or anything, it comes strictly from the heart, and there's no expectation of anything else in return. It's just out of pure, like he really just wants to help. So I thought it'd be important for us to discuss what, as caretakers, because you're obviously in the physical fitness realm,
right.
Me coming from the internal side, what do you do in order to help to take care of yourself while taking care of others, and what are some of the things that you do to get to know yourself better that you have done?
Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you for joining us on this broadcast. As someone who's on a mission that's much bigger than himself, I feel like every morning that I wake up, I need to jump out of bed and find a way to help others. By definition, a personal trainer, personal trainer goes a long way, meaning we try to fit the workout, the diet plan, the recovery program specifically to the person. And it's a very individual thing. I mean, we've had such a diverse clientele in my career. We've had everyone from religious leaders that want to go to Africa and carry water across the tundra for 5 miles. That's why they're getting into shape. And of course, 80 to 90% of our clients are in show business. They're actors getting ready for a specific role, and we really have to transform them into that person they want to be so that when you see them on screen, it's believable. So it does take a lot of effort. I mean, you and I, we put out a lot of energy, and that energy has to be filled up at the end of the day or we go hollow. And that's a terrible feeling. It's funny because one of my missions is not only to help people look phenomenal, but also to make them feel great too. But I can tell you that if there are things going on in my life that are upsetting or where I'm stressed, it's hard for me to give that energy, that positive energy to others. So I have to take good care of myself.
Yeah, that's really important to take care of ourselves, and I've been guilty of this myself. I love helping people. I love, I could be at the airport, and if I see somebody walk around like this, I want to go over and
strangle them.
That's only if they don't pay me. No,
exactly. You must die. Just kidding. Hey, before you get on the plane, you mind if I kill you?
Right. But anywhere I go, I have this, just this. I love what I do so much. It's like what you do. Being people in the industry of service. A lot of people don't understand is that it's a sacrifice, right. And we've had different practitioners that have come through our practice, my practice in San Jose, Morning Crane, and a lot of people will come in and say, I want to do what you do. I want to heal people. I want to help the world. Right. But at the same time, too, they're really not willing to sacrifice themselves to give back.
Right.
But there has to be a line to where you have to say, okay, well, I'm depleting myself, and what are some of the methods that I can do in order to give back to myself? I mean, we have all these tools. That's the cool thing about what we do, right? We have all these tools.
It's funny because each day I say to people again and again, the 3 things that change you, the very science of change is exercise, diet, and sleep. And so for us, as people that take care of others, we have to exercise every day. We have to eat a healthy diet so we have the energy from nutrient-dense foods to power our desire to help others. And we need to get good sleep at night, because if we're exhausted, we're really no good to these people that come to us for assistance. But there is something that's missing. I say exercise, diet, and sleep, and that is the science of change. But I need something additionally, and I think all of you need something additionally, and that is love. So I really should be saying exercise, diet, sleep, and love, because I can tell you when I spend time with people that I love, whether they're friends or family or colleagues who are also friends, when I feel that love at the end of the day, or when I'm out having fun, it really gives me the supercharged energy to apply my knowledge base to help others every single day. So here in the month of February, it's not just exercise, diet, sleep. It's exercise, it's diet, it's sleep, and it's also spending time with people that you love and that love you and that want to see you thrive, and being around that positive energy. Because as Chris mentioned, that negative energy, those people that take from you and don't give back, it can really be a drag.
Seriously. Yeah, it can really be a drag, and and what people don't realize, it can actually affect your health too. And when we come down to it, if you're trying to take care of yourself, and one of the things that Eric just said is getting proper sleep. Well, if family, especially family dynamics, I think are the worst. Where because you're born into the family, people think, oh well, I'm obligated, or they owe something to the family, or the family puts that kind of guilt onto them, and that could cause eating disorders. That could cause sleep disorders.
Right.
And so if you are trying to get this best body that you possibly have, the influence of other people, if they don't fill your bucket, right, then they could actually draw from you and actually contribute to the process of disease. The very thing that we're trying to help people eliminate, right?
Right. A positive attitude goes a long way. And also reaching out to help someone or sharing what you have with them, it makes you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing, even though I've been doing this now for 18 years and studying for 26 years, I never get tired of seeing the transformation. I'm still shocked. Like when people come in and they feel better, I'm like, wow, that really worked.
Golly gee. Jeez.
Yeah. But I think that that kind of enthusiasm and not just taking things for granted, and I watch you all the time in the gym, is that kind of enthusiasm, that kind of love that you share with one another. I think that never gets old, and as long as you have that, I think that the people that we service, I think that they get the benefit of that.
I think you're right, and actually I think what Chris is actually hinting at is finding your passion. Finding something that you actually love to do that doesn't seem like a job, but something that seems exciting, that seems fun, that you're excited about, and something hopefully that's bigger than just you. Because I can tell you the mission that I feel like I'm on to make the world better was started way back with my mentor Jack LaLanne, and he worked his whole life. He had a TV show, he pulled boats as he swam, handcuffed. He did all these crazy, amazing events to raise awareness of health and fitness his entire life. And I feel like at the end of his life, he said to me, I've worked hard, I'm an older man, will you continue this mission? And I was like, you got it, man! And there was no guitar there. And so I feel like I'm on a mission that's much bigger than myself. Sometimes people can get overwhelmed with all of the things that come with a busy life. I mean, you have appointments, you have obligations, you have financial commitments. There's a lot to deal with, and it can really stress you out. However, if you see life in a different way, that you are on a mission for something bigger and grander than just you, then suddenly all of those little things that would stress you out become bricks in a wall, and that wall is powerful and that wall is positive. I mean, it can be big things like, for example, next week I'm flying to Atlantic City, working with the American Culinary Federation. I'm going to train all of those chefs on the boardwalk, and I'm doing that for free. I'm a volunteer. I'm taking my time and helping them because I care about chefs. I think chefs are artists. Right. I think they're the culinary artists of our time, and I think behind every chef is a million mouths that they're going to feed this year. So if I can make that chef a little healthier, a little bit happier, a skip in his step or her step, I think it goes a long way. So I go out of my way to try to help people, and I know you do also. It can be something as big as that, or it can be something as small as when I was at the Super Bowl in Atlanta just a couple weeks ago, we were with UFC champion Tyron Woodley, and we were shooting a little TV segment, and he was starving to death, and he kind of nodded at me. He's like, I'm starving to death. Well, guess what? I had a Quest bar in my bag, and I only had one, and it was for me, but I gave Tyron Woodley my last Quest bar, and it was waffle flavor, which is one of my favorites. And the look in his eye was so grateful. There was so much gratitude there. And I'll tell you, man, when you share things with others, it just makes you feel good.
Yeah, it makes you feel good, and bringing it back to ourselves on what can we do, having the relationship with ourselves. And one of the things that you just mentioned there, I believe that there's 5 healths. There's your physical health, there's your mental emotional health.
Wait, let me illustrate one. Physical, mental, emotional.
Your relationship health,
Yeah,
right?
I love you.
Your relationship health, your financial health,
Yep.
and then what you're talking about here is what they say is your career health, which is also your spiritual health.
Right.
I heard a Dr. Mao Xing here in Los Angeles, California, who runs Yosan University. He said it best. We were at a workshop with him, and he said, before you come into this life form on this planet, you sign a contract with heaven that you are to find your life purpose. Because when you find your life purpose, then that's how God or the universe manifests itself through you.
Oh, cool.
And I thought it was a really profound statement, because how many of us out there are doing tasks where we dread going into work the next day? I mean, I used to be there. I was a butcher for 21 years. So
No
talk
way.
about chefs, right?
This guy was a butcher. My real last name is Fleischmann, which means meat man in German. I'm a butcher. You're a butcher. Are you a butcher also?
You could be a butcher too.
Exactly.
That was really an unfulfilling career for me. And so now doing what I do now, having this life purpose, I think is of utmost importance, and being able to share that with the world. Right. And it could be something, and for everybody's life purpose is different.
Right.
It doesn't have to be being on TV. It doesn't have to be serving thousands and thousands of people.
Right.
It could be something as simple as let's say you're a tow truck driver and you really enjoy being a tow truck driver, and this was your life passion. Whatever it is, but finding that life purpose, I think, also gives back to your physical, your mental, emotional, and your relationship health also. I think it's really important to have that life purpose.
Absolutely. So Chris, I have a question. If someone's watching this and they think to themselves, I'd like to have a life where I help others, but I sit at a cubicle every day doing data entry, what steps can they take to change their lives today?
Well, one of the steps that they could take is that we have an online Qigong teacher training program. And for those of you that might be new to Qigong, Qigong is actually the foundation of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. It's also the foundation of Tai Chi.
Cool.
And the purpose of it, first and foremost, is to empower people to deal with their mental and emotional well-being. And when that happens, it actually empowers them to be able to transform disease and chronic pain inside their body.
Wow.
Because besides poor diet and poor lifestyle habits, one of the leading causes of death is actually emotional stress and trauma. When you store that stuff inside your tissues, guess what? It creates inflammation.
Oh yeah.
And how many people have you been training in the past, or maybe even recently, that come in and say, I have a frozen shoulder today, Eric, or I pinched my nerve, and it has nothing to do with the weight training routine, but has a lot more to deal with what's going on in here. And people don't realize that there is actually a connection between the internal and our external environment. So one of the things I recommend, on YouTube, on Chris Shelton Qigong on YouTube, we have a whole series of practices called the 30 Days of Qigong. And the whole purpose of those practices is to empower people, to give people the tools to be able to handle stress. And what's cool about it is that, talk about giving back, years ago when we launched this, it's called the 30 Days of Qigong. And it's like you're taking 30 weeks with me at my studio in San Jose. So each day I talk about the practice, why you're doing it according to Chinese medicine, and then how to do the practice, and then each day builds on top of the next. And quite a few years ago when we first launched this, we had some colleagues that actually said to me, Chris, you're giving away a free product. How can you do that? You're missing out on some money. And I said, well, you know what? Ultimately, it wasn't mine to begin with.
Right.
And this was some of the tools that helped me transform my life. And I feel that it's my obligation then to give it back, pay it back to the world, and share. And what's amazing about YouTube and the internet is that the feedback that we've been getting from around the world, the positive impact that's made in people's lives, and it's something so simple to do. And like I tell people, no matter how simplistic the practice is, it's a combination of moving and meditative practices. No matter how simplistic they are, they're all meant to do something medicinally inside the body.
Right.
Like relaxation is just a byproduct. And John Kabat-Zinn was one of the first pioneers. He was a doctor that first started the mindfulness revolution. And back when he first started, the other doctors back then thought he was nuts. That
Right.
here's this doctor, MD, working with his clients, teaching them mindfulness. And what he found was that when he started giving these people mindfulness practices, that it actually helped. And so our big mission is to really standardize the practice of Qigong around the world. We're clinical directors for all of California for the Special Olympics.
So cool.
Thanks to Maria Shriver, the First Lady. There's a program that the Special Olympics have that's called Healthy Athletes, Strong Minds, and where we give these simple practices to the athletes, coaches, and their families to not only to deal with the stress of competition, but more importantly, what do you do if somebody's bullying you?
Right.
What do you do if somebody's a bucket dipper, right?
I hide my bucket. I'm like, I'm sorry, my bucket is off limits to you. No, it's really tough. I mean, there are certain friends that you have, and friends are not the same all the time. They go through phases. So I do have some friends who will go through a phase where they take energy from you, and they don't really have much to give in return, and it can be exhausting.
It can be exhausting, yeah. And so when I talk to my clients and I tell them, I believe you could divorce family. They say, divorce family, you're crazy, you're born into the family. But I said, you know what? Sometimes my friends actually are more of my family than my actually family is, because my friends would never treat me the way some of my family members have.
Right.
And so it's just keeping a healthy boundary. It doesn't mean that you hold on to a grudge. It doesn't mean that you have animosity. It's just meaning that, hey, I'm protecting the space around me.
Right.
Whenever I'm around you or talk to you or whatever, all you do, all it makes me feel like I'm not good enough or something, or you just want to take from me, and I need to protect this space, and it's so important to protect that space, because part of my emotional well-being is being able to be sound and sane in here, and meanings just surrounding the people that are going to support that, and really recognizing that I have to love myself first before somebody else is going to love me.
I totally agree. I mean, I think this is one of the big things about being someone who's trying to help others. You need to take care of yourself and literally surround yourself with people that love you for who you are and are supportive and have positive energy towards you. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in a romantic relationship a couple years ago where it really was a one-way street. And as she and I started to break up, I explained to her that I was so sad about our breakup, I actually couldn't work. I didn't think there was any correlation between my romantic relationship outside of work and my ability to be an effective personal trainer at work with a lot of these actors. But as I drove to work each day, I started feeling this really heavy sadness in my heart, and I realized I couldn't rise to the occasion and try to motivate and inspire my clients to be the people they needed to be, because I was secretly kind of sad. And so I went back to her and I said to her, because of this situation, I find it really hard to work. Well, she thought that was a very creative way of being crazy. But I wasn't being crazy. I was not myself. I wasn't in an effective way. And wonderfully, as soon as I got out of that relationship and entered a positive romantic relationship, man, we're back in business. So really, surrounding yourself with positive people that love you for who you are and not what you can bring to them is really important. And that's a huge, huge plus as far as taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, so a couple practices that I've done, and this was first introduced to me when I was 17 years old. You kind of know my backstory. And so I had this English teacher, who I really respected, and after I had the heart attack and stuff and told him about some of my issues that was going on, he was really shocked, because he goes, Chris, the way you present yourself is not the way that you're talking about right now. And so one of the things that he said to me to do, and I still do this today, well, actually when he first said this to me, I tried it a couple of times and I thought it was the goofiest thing on earth. But this is what I do every morning, and when I'm brushing my teeth or combing my hair,
gorgeous locks.
One of the things I do is I look at myself in the mirror and I say to myself, I love myself and I believe in myself.
Really?
Yes. And whatever it is that I want to manifest with God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, then I say I choose to co-create whatever that is. But the first thing I start off with by touching my heart is I say I love and I believe in myself.
That's awesome.
And for a lot of people, if I give them this practice, a lot of people will say to me, Chris, I have a hard time looking at myself in the mirror.
Really?
And so it actually goes back to loving yourself, and it's okay to love yourself.
Right.
And the reason why the people feel that way is just because of what they've been through in the past. And normally, parents have a good way of messing up the kids.
I know. It's crazy.
And so getting over that, and starting off and limiting and squashing those self-limiting beliefs, which is the ego, how that pops up. A lot of time that ego pops up because of the environment. It pops up because of the family dynamics. It pops up because of the past hurt relationships. relationships.
Right.
So if you could start off, and one practice that I do, like I said, is by saying, I love myself and I believe in myself. Is powerful just by doing that.
Well, a lot of times in Hollywood, we'll encounter a client who's very, very famous. And as we're talking with them and getting to know them in a personal way as we're working out, I'll say to them, "That's amazing, that's terrific." And they'll look at me like they're surprised. And as you get to know this person in a deeper way, you realize that their self-esteem is actually not very high at all. And all the adulation that they surround themselves with and all the applause that they hear, it somehow doesn't get into them. And so you're right, man. It's amazing how some people look in the mirror and they don't really feel comfortable with the person that's reflected back in the mirror. And it's an intense feeling.
Intense feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the other practices that I like to do, it's called the Center and Balance Meditation, and
Okay.
we have this available on iTunes. It's on our website as well. And the purpose of that meditation is for you to get to know your body. And the way the meditation goes is that you focus first melting down through the front of the body, through the back of the body, and you do it from a seated or a standing position, and then focus on imagining a white light traveling through the body, like touching your brain, surrounding tissues, heart, lungs, all that kind of stuff. And believe it or not, if you do that practice enough,
Right.
you actually get to know your body on a deeper level, and it's not like a tangible knowing of what's going on inside. It's like you're holding on to this cup here.
Right.
It's just more of this natural knowing by itself. Because they actually have a saying that the superior doctor is one that can prevent disease before disease sets in.
Right.
The whole idea of this meditation is for you to become your own superior doctor. What that means is that you become so aware of your body before the disease actually sets in that you know what steps you need to take, whether it's Qigong, whether it's physical fitness,
Right.
whether it's a change in diet, whether you're not sleeping enough,
Right.
but this is just something that's just really great to do. And the nice thing about it is that you could do it anywhere. I don't suggest doing it while you drive though, but but you could actually do this anywhere. And even if you were to sit up in the morning, every single morning, before you jump out of bed and you start your day, just sit up and take a few minutes just to scan your body.
Right.
Make a mental note, like, how do I feel right now? Am I still groggy from my sleep? Does my neck hurt? Is my low back a little bit stiff? What are the things that are going on inside your body? At least acknowledging that. That only takes 3 to 4 minutes. And then what I like to do is I like to say 10 things that I'm grateful for.
That is so great. So a physical assessment first thing in the morning. You're lying there, you kind of wiggle your toes. How does your stomach feel? Do you have a headache? Do you feel great? Are you tired? Are you well rested? I think that's a great idea. And then 10 things that you're grateful for. You just count the 10 people that you're in bed with and you say, "Hey guys, I'm so grateful that you're all here." Just kidding. So what
That's a different show.
That's a different show.
That's next week.
What kind of things would you list as far as being grateful? Would you start with your family?
I'd start off first with the people that love me.
Okay.
Yeah, that I know that I have the support. I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thanks, man.
I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for Ray for allowing us to be here to film today.
Why'd you point your wife over there? Because I'm right here. I'm his wife. Just
I'm grateful for being alive, right? I'm
Right.
grateful for being able to serve the public.
Right.
These are just some examples, and every day it could be the same thing. It doesn't have to change. So
Right.
you don't have to dwell on like, oh, every day I need to change what I'm grateful for. It could be the same thing, but at least if you acknowledge it.
Well, there are so many new external factors that people find to get bummed out about. I'll give you an example. Through social media, sometimes you'll post something, and on that particular day, it meant something to you. Like you post a picture of you and your pet, and people don't realize that your pet is someone that's really important to you, and it only gets 7 likes instead of the normal 150. The number of likes that you get, for many people, that sort of determines what kind of mood they're in. There are so many things that you should be grateful for beyond things like social media, beyond things like just financial means. I mean, it's nice to be able to live in a house and eat food every day, but being grateful for the fact that you have nourishing food to eat, that you have shelter, all the basics, people sort of just brush off. And they're always looking at these other external factors, which ultimately don't matter very much at all.
Don't matter. You can't take it with you once
Yeah.
you pass on.
I saw an interesting documentary the other night called Endgame. It's nominated for an Academy Award. The Academy Awards are coming up here in Hollywood. And it's about the hospice situation, people with terminal illnesses at the end of their lives and their perspectives. And, no one mentions social media there. They don't mention fancy cars or big houses. The things that people are truly grateful for in their last days have a lot to do with the things that you're discussing. Love, understanding, support, all those things that nourish our souls and not just our pocketbooks or our social media.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Well, before we sign off here, is there any extra tip that you would like to give that you do for yourself to help to fill your bucket?
Yes, this is what I do. First of all, once again, the science of change is exercise, diet, and sleep. And I try to exercise every day, just break a sweat every day. I try to eat really healthy foods so I feel good and I look good. And then sleep is the only time the body can change. So if you want to get into shape, if you want to look in the mirror and see a better version of yourselves, you have to sleep. And then we just added a new one because it's February. Find someone that loves you and that you can love and have that exchange. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street. And have that in your life, and I think that you'll feel your very best.
That's awesome. Well, once again, signing off here, I'm so grateful to Eric. I'm so grateful to Jay for allowing us to use his set on Hollywood Reel, and to all the friends and people that support us. Until next week, may you find love, love yourself, and be well. I will see you later.